is kind of pointless. So, let me just get rid of that. Okay, so let me just show you. Let me just show you. So again, that is going to be on your doc.
See, come here.
Anybody know who we're missing from the meeting here? While I'm doing this, you can look at the list. I'm going to bring up Pesci's document because I think they... Who's missing? Hi, Layla. All right. So anybody else turning their camera on, showing me you're alive over there? So I just brought up Miss Pesci's the weekly doc for her class because I have the new link on there that I want to show you. But so the link to the study guide is on your doc for this week for under Monday, if you can't find it. And you also have a new current events assignment that's not due until next Monday, but I wanted to start class by talking about it. If these things ever load, you can tell I'm like super patient. Why is this not loading? Okay. Well, this is an opportunity for all of us just to take a deep breath while things are loading. Okay. Deep breath. Hi, Ethan. Yes, Elena's not feeling well today. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, my attendance keeper. Okay. Carmen, if you could just mute yourself, honey. Okay, so lesson 2 study guides right there. Okay, I'll meet you. Okay. Week 3 vocab and questions. I want to put out a poll and ask you who has started their week 3. I'm not saying finish, but who has started their week 3 questions and vocab highlighting. Who has started that? And while you're doing that, let me just quick copy and paste.
Oh, we started today.
Starting it today sounds good. It's not due yet, so if you haven't started it, I'm just having you kind of think about it, reflect. If you have a plan, like Corey says, I'm going to start today. So Z, you just have to answer that. Have you started Studies Weekly? Okay, thank you. I have about 40% that said yes and 55% that said no. So that is, that's fine. And if you haven't started yet, you have time. You can start that today, tomorrow. You do have, oh no, I'm messing it up. What did I do? Thank goodness for the undo button, right, guys? Why is everything taking so long today? Oh my gosh, I think it's just like trying to really test my patience. So you do have Wednesday, but again, you have other things to do. So I wouldn't leave the whole entire thing for Wednesday. Okay. Finally, you have your island project, which we talked about. We talked about this morning. We're going to discuss in homeroom tomorrow some ideas you came up with. And then you have your current event. So the island project part 1 is not due until the fall, not this Wednesday, the next Wednesday. And then your time for kids assignment is actually going to be your new current event. So it's not due until next Monday. So let me show you what this assignment is about. You may still watch CNN 10. Feel free as much as you want. You can watch it every day if you want. but this is going to be current events for this week because we just got our Time for Kids subscription kind of confirmed, and we want to and so this is going to be due November 2nd at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. And it's based on this week's magazine for Time for Kids. Who did Time for Kids last year? Anybody do Time for Kids? Okay. Layla did. Okay, good. Okay, Bree did. Okay, so you're going to be doing the digital magazine. So I want you to so what you're going to do is you're going to, for current events this week, you're going to be exploring the Time for Kids magazine and taking a 10-minute, 10 question, multiple choice classwork quiz when you are finished. Read the articles carefully and use them to answer the questions. So the questions are below. These are 10 multiple choice questions. So instead of doing a writing, to kind of take a break from you doing a post, you are going to be answering questions based on the reading here. So you want to click on this and you want to use the password seaweed5 in order to get in. Now, what I would recommend doing, if you right click, I don't know if you guys have tried this before, but if you right click on it and you put open link in new tab, then it doesn't take you away from the page you're currently on. So right click and open new tab, and then you have Time for Kids open. So I'm going to put in seaweed 5 and then hit sign in. Now it brings me to this page. Everybody watching, because this is how you're going to do it. Then you're going to hit view digital edition. And it brings you to basically an e-magazine. So you're probably used to using Time for Kids in class. This is actually the same magazine you get in class, but it's you know, on your screen. So if you click the arrow over, it takes you to the first page. Alex, please mute yourself. Okay. It's okay. Just you can hear static in the background. Okay. Yes.
For the worksheet, can we do it multiple times or only once?
That is an excellent question. Once. Okay. So the this is not like the Canvas quizzes, the Canvas classwork quizzes. You are doing this once. It's a reading comprehension. It is also right in the magazine. So if you click over, you'll see the different parts of the magazine. See Naomi Osaka, a tennis player, won the U.S. Open 3 times. I don't know if it was 3 times, but she won this past year. So let me show you. Then if you go back to the assignment, and I can kind of just have the assignment side by side. If I minimize it, I can have it side by side with the article. If you all can see that. Now, if I scroll down here, I would put my email address in, my first and last name, and then here are the questions. So according to the article, how many people have already voted? So it's telling me where I go. I go to page 2, early voters. So right now I'm on page 4. So I want to go back. Here I am, page 2. I might need to move it out a little bit so I can see the whole thing here. Oh, maybe move it out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm looking for, again, the question is, how many voters have already voted? I look at page 2, early voters. So here's page 2. Down at the bottom, I can see page 2, and then I see it's early voters. So I would read this article to find the answers. It's similar to Studies Weekly, yes, where you have to look on one website and answer it on another. Okay. It's similar to Studies Weekly. So I would read through this article and see how many people voted early, and I actually can see the answer in the first paragraph here. I don't know if you guys can see it. But on Election Day, November 3rd, Americans will go to the polls to vote for the President of the United States, but millions have already cast their ballot. That's very different for this year that so many people cast their ballot. As of October 19th, a record 29 million Americans have voted early at a polling site or by mail. So then I can look and I see my answer right there, don't I? So you got the first one for free. You're welcome. Okay. So then I go on, I would finish reading this article and then I can go on to the next one. The next one says, how does the image support the text? So I want to look at page 2, seeking a COVID cure. So I'm looking for seeking a COVID cure. Here it is, seeking a COVID cure. How does the image, this is the image, how does it support the text? And then I would read through, all of these, and there's a pretty obvious one. If you read through them, process of elimination, and then you go to the next one. The next one says page 3 for the record. So you want to look at page 3 for the record. For the record is this one about the pumpkin being 2,350 pounds. So that is it. Okay. Any questions? Any questions about this?
Not at all.
No questions for Time for Kids? Okay, so that you are doing later. You're not doing that right now. You're doing that later, because now I want to talk to you about study resources. So if you have time today to start looking at study resources, we are reviewing during class tomorrow. You need to have your study guide done. Okay, so lesson 2 study resources are on Tuesday right here. I'm going to actually copy this because they're also going to be on Wednesday. This is going to have the slideshow and the Quizlet. It will also have a copy of the study guide, but that's not going to be available yet until after you turn in your study guide. And I need everybody in the chat to focus. So if you click on this is going to take you to, it's going to give you a Quizlet with all flashcards to study. Remember, this is your first test in science. So you want to make it count. So you have your notes, and then you have a Quizlet that I made with pictures on it and all good stuff. Class tomorrow, you will, I have to put that you need a second device, but we are doing Kahoot tomorrow. So you do need a second device for tomorrow if you have one available. If not, just do whatever you're used to as far as, but okay, so let me bring second device here. Anybody have any questions so far on anything? Vince, whoops, I can tell I can't spell. Okay, anybody have any questions on anything? All right. Okay. All right. If you think of questions, you can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. Now I want to talk about earliest humans. Okay. And that's what lesson 3 is all about. Okay. I'm going to put this up on the screen here. Hopefully everybody can see. I don't know what just happened. Oh, there we go. Okay, before we get to that. So week 3 of Studies Weekly is about earliest humans. These are the earliest people that ever lived. Okay, go ahead, Layla. Okay, so I want you to imagine right now, and you can close your eyes if you'd like, but I want you to imagine a world where there is nothing that you are used to. There is no phones. There are no computers, no technology whatsoever, no electricity. You don't live in a house. You can't go to the grocery store to get food. Instead, you have to hunt your food to survive.
So they didn't even have like dogs for pets?
Some tribes did. They would, but they would use them more instead of pets. They'd use them for hunting. That's a great point, Ethan. So maybe you'd have a pet, but you better make sure that your pet can hunt, right? So they'd be more looking at them like a way to survive. Now I want you to imagine you don't even have a home. You are homeless. You do not live in a permanent place. Instead, you move from place to place. Okay, exactly, Greg. Now it's so easy to go to the store and you can buy, sure, a hot dog or whatever else you might want for us, not that much money. What was that?
Hunt.
Say that again, Corey.
I hunt still.
Oh, good. Yeah, and we're going to bring that connection in. So hold that thought, okay? So the earliest humans, this was their reality. Their reality was prehistoric humans lived like this for millions of years. So I'm not sure if you knew that, but it's actually been millions of years that humans have lived on the earth. Okay, and this is kind of how the progression went. I'm just kidding. Okay, that's
so like the Flintstones, like back then. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So Flintstones has some is accurate in some ways, but in some ways it's not because they kind of have like modern appliances and things like that. But some of the things that the Flintstones have are we can kind of relate to the prehistoric people. So good connection. Okay, so as you might know, we come from primates. We come from apes, orangutans. Those are our closest species that are similar. So as you can see, over time we evolved and we became the people that were around millions of years ago. And these are called prehistoric people. Prehistoric people means, and you might want to write this down. If you're taking notes, this is something to write down. Prehistoric means before written records. That means before humans wrote down things on, they wrote down actual writing, like the ancient Egyptians wrote on hieroglyphs and things like that. This is before all of that. This is basically when you would think of like cavemen, cave women, cave people, really. Okay. So this would be before written records, and so writing wasn't invented until about 5,000 years ago. What year BC was that? So I want to ask you because we talked about AD, and BC. What year was 5,000 years ago? So you have to actually take out the AD. So you have to subtract AD. So how many years of AD we have is 2020. Corey, you should not be sharing YouTube videos right now. I don't know what that is, but you shouldn't be sharing that. You have to approve anything you share with me first. Okay, so 5,000 minus 2020 is what? Sorry, that was supposed to be a 5,000 minus 2020 equals. Okay, Layla's got an answer. Kaz has got an answer. Let me ask you, what is missing from their answers? Oh, is it AD? BC. So Okay, so Ethan, it's not. It was five. If it's 5,000 years ago, then it's 2980 BC. Good job, Z. Good job, guys. Nice job, Bree. Good job, Janice, Kendra, Kaz, Ethan. Nice job. So, 2980 BC, about 3000 BC was when writing was really invented. Okay, so before that was all, hold on a second. That was all what we call prehistory, okay, before written records. Go ahead, Alex.
How did the bones change, even though nothing changed them? That's like because a million years ago people looked like monkeys.
They evolve over time, and it's very complicated. It has to do with genetics and like people's genes and how like people are animals, so we are an animal species. So a species develop over time, depending on different factors like their environment, for example. Okay, that's how kind of how we developed, evolved into standing upright instead of being kind of on our hands and knees. So that's all part of it. Great question, Alex. Okay, so if we don't have written records, archaeologists and anthropologists study prehistory using artifacts. This is a review, right? So, for example, some of these artifacts might include these arrowheads. So now I want you to take a look at this picture, and I want you to write in the comments what you notice about the picture. What do you notice is going on in this picture? What do you see?
Tool making and hunting.
Okay, they're hunting. There is an extinct animal. Good. What animal is that? Good, good, good.
Mammoth.
A woolly mammoth. Good. What else do we notice?
They're using a fire pit to cook stuff. And then
yes.
Spears.
Yes, there's spears.
They're using rocks to make tools.
They're using yes. So as you can see, that guy has two rocks in his hand in the corner where it says tool making, and he's hitting one of the rocks with the other rock. And what he's doing is, if you take a rock that's a little bit more frail, you can break off pieces of it, and then you can kind of develop that into a tool or a weapon that you can then use to hunt. Good. I'm guessing Jen is saying you're cooking food. Yeah, they use the fire. So fire
could wood bowls, I think.
Okay, good. Using rocks to light fire, that's another way to do it, to make a spark. Good. What do you notice about their house? Is that really even a house? Would you call that a house?
No, they use wood and rocks, I think.
Uh-huh, very good. And what do you think this is over top of the house? Alex, I think Greg already said this is in Spanish class and we need to focus.
It's just that I need to start speaking in more Spanish.
Okay, but not right this second, okay? All right, because we want to focus on history. And it's a little distracting, right? Okay. So, but Greg, contribute then. Tell me what else do we see? What do you notice the women are doing in the picture?
They're doing all like the stuff and the men are hunting.
Okay, well we have them hunting in the back. But what are they doing? What are the ladies doing in the front? Okay, they're using cloth, probably animal fur, right, as clothing. They don't have they can't. Okay, watering grass, maybe. What else could they be doing? Gathering. What are they gathering? What do we think they're gathering? Supplies. What kind of supplies? Good, Bree. What kind of supplies, guys? What might they be gathering from plants? Spice, okay, so herbs, spices, leaves. Okay, leaves could be used to like help make, tools or supplies. Good, good, good. What about berries? Kaz, I just spoke with Alex about that. I don't want to have to speak about it again. What about berries? What about maybe insects, right? Remember we said that they might be have to eat insects as part of their diet. Pick things off, food from the ground. Okay, good. What do you notice is underneath the woolly mammoth? What do you think that is? Does anybody see that? Anybody notice that? What's underneath the woolly mammoth?
The trap.
Yes, very good, Bree. Do you notice that there's a trap they set? That they lured this woolly mammoth into this trap, and then the woolly mammoth is going to end up falling in and maybe, ending up being trapped. And then they're going to use the woolly mammoth. They'll use the parts of the animal for food to make.
And they
Go ahead, Ethan.
And they would use like the two white things, the horns, I think it is.
Yep.
For like hunting.
Yep. They can shape those into tools. Exactly. Make those into tools. I guess you would call them tusks because they're kind of like, elephant tusks. Yes. So back then they would use the entire animal. Right. And we're not really used to this, right? Because if you eat meat, likely you're not killing your own meat. But they actually had to go out and kill and take the skin off and cook it. They had to do everything in order to cook the animal and to eat. I mean, and they really had no choice, right? They had to do it, or they would starve to death. Which is kind of like, you might say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." I wouldn't want to do that, but they had no choice. It was this or they would die. Now, this hut that they are living in, it's not permanent, right? This looks like they can kind of take this down at any time. It's because they don't actually live in one place for very long. They are hunter gatherers. And so that's we're going to kind of divide the Stone Age up. I don't know if you've heard of the Stone Age, but we're going to divide it up based on the kind of tools that were used. So these are the three things we're talking about today. The three parts of the Stone Age, which is part, some of it is prehistoric. Lithic is Latin for stone, and you're going to see how that comes into play here. So the fancy words for the Stone Age that you're going to need to know: Paleolithic, which paleo means old, and lithic means stone. So this is the Old Stone Age. Mesolithic, meso means middle. Lithic means stone. So this is the Middle Stone Age. And then Neolithic. Neo means new. So Neolithic is the New Stone Age. Okay? So now, starting with Paleolithic, which again is Greek for Old Stone Age, feel free to write this down. This is how humans lived for most of their existence. They lived like this. I don't know if it's for me, it's a little hard to believe that this is how they lived the entire for part of their existence. Most of our human existence was like this. They used simple stone tools to hunt. Humans were hunter-gatherers, and they were nomadic during this time period. So, what is the simplest weapon that you have, that we all have at our disposal? Okay, Omar, try exiting and coming back in. Okay, I'll give you 5 hints. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the most simple weapon we have at our disposal?
Axe.
Our hands, yes, Bree. So other people have good ideas too, but our fists, right? This is how we can fight off predators. This is how we can hunt, right? Our hands are the simplest weapons. Okay, so when we were hunters and gatherers, the humans would use what they have. They have fists. Their first weapons were their hands to fight with, okay, to defend. Okay, and other simple things. Think of the most simple things. If you were to go outside, what are the most simple tools that you could use? A stick, a branch, right? A rock. Exactly. You can find a rock, a big rock, that you could use to hunt, or even to gather, to scrape something off of a tree, things like that. A sword would come a little bit later, Omar, but you're on the right track. So Paleolithic, again, is very simple tools. People are hunter and gatherers, and they're nomadic, meaning they don't have a permanent home. People that are nomadic, it means that they don't live anywhere permanently. Okay, pocket knife would come a little bit later too, Kaz, but that's also, knives would be kind of stone knives would be earlier, a little bit earlier. So Mesolithic is coming a little bit later. It's the Middle Stone Age, and it's humans were still hunters and gatherers and nomadic during this period, but they developed more sophisticated weapons like bows and arrows. Everybody take your bow, pull back your arrow, and you can release, right? Release your bow and arrow and release it. So who has ever done archery or used a bow and arrow before?
I have a question.
Yep.
Did they have like crossbows and stuff in this age, or is that like
crossbows are a little bit different? They're a little bit more they're more technical. So you would that would become a little bit later. This is like very simple. Like you bend a stick, you tie a piece of twine to it, and where did my dog just go? And then you have a stick attached to it, or that you hold with it, and you release. Okay, Jordan, you've used one. Okay, Cass has a homemade spear. Okay, be careful with that. Bows and arrows, so they're a little more complicated. Fishing nets are, again, a little more complicated. Spears for hunting. Spears are going to maybe include the arrowheads at the end. So the Mesolithic or the Middle Stone Age it has more complicated tools. They develop more advanced tools to hunt that made life a little bit easier. So spears for hunting, nets for fishing, bows and arrows, again, for hunting. Now this one's a lot more sophisticated, but you can just imagine a very simple bow and arrow. So that's the Mesolithic era. Finally, over thousands of years, the Neolithic era, or the New Stone Age, occurred, and that humans invented something. What did they invent? Does anybody know that changed their lives? And I want you to look at the picture. Okay, good guess.
farming?
Okay, I'm not sure who said that. Say it again.
Farming?
Farming. Who agrees with him based on this picture? Yes. Guess what? I think somebody's done the reading. If you did the reading on week 3, you might know this. Great job. Excellent. Yeah, I saw that when I was grading week 2 that you had done the week 3 reading. So Omar is right. Farming was invented. Humans were able to not wander from place to place, but they could finally settle down in large groups and grow crops. Go ahead, Omar. What was that?
Hunter-gatherers as well.
Were they hunter-gatherers when?
Like in the Neolithic age, are these all hunter-gatherers?
No, so during the Neolithic age is when farming was invented, and people started switching over to growing crops. They would still hunt, but they would stay in one place. And a lot of their food would come from crops. They would domesticate animals, which means that they would just tame them, and have them, not like I was saying to Ethan earlier, not as necessarily, they would be kind of like pets, but they would be more like working for them. And they developed more tools like the plow that is in this picture. The plow makes the lines that, if you've ever seen a farm, the lines on a field, right? Right. That's made using a plow. So that is a tool that they developed to farm. And we still rely on farming today. Who has ever been to a farm? Has anybody been to a farm?
I have.
You have? Okay. What farms have you guys gone to? Did you guys go pumpkin picking?
Yeah.
You live on one, Bree, so I guess you've been there. What do you guys grow, Bree? Is it a working farm?
I am 6 years old.
No, not a working farm, but okay, but you have probably the open farmland kind of available. And you probably, if you drive around the area, you'll see farmland. We rely on farmland for crops, for things that we have in the grocery store that we're lucky enough to have, that someone else grows and picks for us and sells. They grew soybeans. Soybeans are another really important thing, especially again for like tofu and a lot of things that you don't even realize are made with soy. So a fancy word for farming that you need to know is agriculture. Agriculture, agri just means field. So agriculture is kind of the culture of, farming a field. Okay, so agriculture is farming. So this changed their lives big time in the Neolithic era. So during the Paleolithic and Mesolithic era, people were hunter-gatherers. They hunted and gathered their food. So they would hunt and gather their food. It's also important to know that during the Paleolithic and Mesolithic era, they were nomadic. So moving from place to place with no permanent home. This is a vocab word you guys have to know. Nomadic means no home. They didn't have a permanent home. Why do you think they had to keep moving when they were hunter-gatherers?
So they can keep hunting.
So they can keep. Well, what happens if you stay in one place and you try to hunt? What was that?
You lose it.
You lose it. And Corey, you might know, because you hunt, that animals don't stay in one place, do they?
No.
And there's different seasons that you can hunt different things. So they, but these humans needed food all year round. So they would travel with the animals. If they would hunt and gather in a certain area, and then there would be nothing left for them to hunt and gather, they'd need to leave. It wasn't a question of whether they wanted to move. They had to move. They had no choice. And that's why you saw that picture. In that picture, their housing was just very simple, because they didn't, you don't want to build a whole house that you're going to end up leaving in a couple weeks. Okay. So nomad, no home. And this is how I remember it. Nomad, no home. Nomad, no home. I'm going to say nomad, and I'm going to wait for someone to unmute themselves and say no home. So nomad, your turn.
No home.
Nomad.
No.
Nomad.
No home.
Nomad.
No home.
Nomad. 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 Nomad.
No.
E.T.
Finger.
Oh no! What does E.T. say, guys? Come on. Who's seen E.T. before? He says phone home, right? E.T. phone home. Yes, so that was just a joke, but yes. Good, Greg. Yes, and definitely humans came into contact with different animals as they moved around a lot. So Nomads, especially. So I want to make a connection to your life, and I want to ask in a poll here, who has moved before? Any time in their life that they've had to move from their home to a new
All the
home?
time.
Okay, you can put yes or no in the poll.
I moved 2 times.
2 times. Okay, and feel free to share in the poll as well, guys. So, or sorry, to share in the public chat after you answer. But we do need everybody to answer this one about whether they have moved or not in their life. And I have moved out of my parents' house, but besides that, I had never moved before that. I was very lucky to, and maybe you're happy if you moved, maybe you're not as happy. But moving is not easy. So, Z, Omar, Mason, Layla, Kaz, and Angelina, please answer whether you have moved before. Have you moved in your life? And so, especially moving to a whole new place, a whole, not just like down the street, but like a whole new neighborhood, a whole new school. That is not easy. Zion, Mason, Kaz, and okay, we need Mason, Kaz, and Angelina. Show me you are here. You're present and accounted for. And while they're answering, I'm going to just look. Okay, Brooks never moved. Omar says I moved 6 times. Wait, say that again, Cor?
I have moved so many times that I can't even remember.
Can't even imagine. Now, where have you, can you name some of the places you've moved from?
Virginia.
Okay.
Michigan.
Wow. Okay. And those are not close, right? So this isn't like you're just moving down the street. This is really, that is finding a whole new location. And I don't know, I can imagine that is difficult, right? To have to move that much.
It's not. It's really not.
It's not. Okay.
It's fun when you go on a road trip there, though. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Kaz, please answer the poll. So it looks like 71%, and I know some people might have pressed the wrong thing, but 71% have moved and only 19% have stayed put where they are. And we're just waiting for Kaz to respond. So I clicked yes by accident. Oh, okay. So there you go. Layla and Angelina can switch. So it's still the accurate count. So most people have moved. And if you've moved before, you can imagine what it would be like to move every couple of weeks. And remember, you're not going to be moving a ton of stuff because you don't have a ton of possessions. If you're back in the prehistoric era, you have just a few things that you might take with you. And you are forced to move based on survival. And that is really, not an easy thing. And you are not necessarily, you don't get a choice as to whether you move or not. And that is like kind of a connection to today as well, right? You don't necessarily have a choice when you move. Sometimes you don't want to move. And you have to adjust, and it's not easy. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention is that people back in the day lived in extended families. This is large groups, including parents, grandparents, children, aunts, uncles, cousins. They stuck together and shared food, shelter, and clothing. So not only are you moving every couple of weeks, or even like earlier than that, but you are living not just with like maybe your current household, but with your entire extended family. 6 feet apart. Yeah, right. I don't think you would have been 6 feet apart back then, but so who would be okay with this? Who would be comfortable with living with not just now, and you may live with some extended family members. You may live with an aunt and uncle. If you're lucky enough to have grandparents, you might live with a grandparent or both grandparents. You might live with a cousin, or an extended family member. But yes or no, would you be okay with living with your extended family? Who would be comfortable with living with their extended family? And just because you say no, by the way, doesn't mean you don't like them. It's just you are kind of agreeing.
My extended family.
Who do you live with?
My mom's husband.
Okay, and so like that, but like, do you live with aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents?
I live with my grandma, my aunt, my cousins. I also live with my mom, and that's it.
So you already live with some extended family.
Still don't like it though.
Yeah, but you might not like it. Exactly. You might feel like, sometimes. So imagine not living in a home, but living in, moving from place to place, no permanent home, and you are doing this with your extended family, aunts, uncles,
6 feet apart.
6 feet apart, right? Okay, it looks like 90% said that they're, but I think some people meant to click no, but 90% say that they are okay with living with their extended family, which I think that means that that's good, that you get along, that you feel comfortable enough. Exactly, Jordan. So there's protection and sharing in case somebody didn't get enough food or materials. Yes. So it wasn't a matter of you were living with your extended family because you love them so much. You live with them because that's how you survived. It was either live with your extended family, you guys either survive together or die alone. And so people stuck together in these tribes of extended families. And so that's how they had enough food, and that's how they were able to hunt and gather enough and make shelter and things like that. I mean, that when you like work together, maybe it's on a project or at home with somebody, you can get more things done together than on your own. What was that, Omar?
Did they eat each other?
Cannibalism?
Maybe.
There might be some. There are definitely some cultures where that has been a custom in the past. But we can save that for Halloween. Cannibalism. That's kind of creepy, huh? So.
At all the people are ghosts from there.
Oh, maybe. So,
yes,
so guys, I want to just give you a little way to remember the different parts of the Stone Age. So just to recap, Paleolithic, Old Stone Age, Mesolithic is Middle Stone Age, and Neolithic is New Stone Age. So remember, Paleolithic, they just use their fists. So show me fists. Paleo punch. Paleolithic is hunt and gather. Okay, so it's hunt and gather. Paleolithic is hunt and gather. Good. And Mesolithic is Mesolithic, and I see some people turning their cameras on. Thanks, Kaz, for participating, and Omar. Mesolithic, remember, they had more advanced tools. So show me your bow and arrow would be hunt and gather. Mesolithic is hunt and gather. Hunt and gather. Okay. And then Neolithic is farming. So show me farming. You are digging your crops. Okay. So show me Neolithic farming. Neolithic is farming. Okay. So Paleolithic is hunt and gather. Mesolithic is hunt and gather. And Neolithic is farming. Permanent, stay in one place and farm. Or help your animals can help you do that as well. Okay, so those are our three parts of our Stone Age. Remember, most of human existence was during the Paleolithic era, the Mesolithic era, That's when people were hunter gatherers. They moved from place to place. They were nomadic. They lived with extended families. And then during the Neolithic period, farming was invented and people were able to settle down. And we'll talk more about that next time. And yeah, guys, stop. Omar and Greg, stop. Stop. Not necessary. All right. And Greg, you don't have to patrol the classroom. Okay. Sometimes people's mics go off by accident, and I'm sure you can forgive them. So we'll be talking about that more. Please look at week 3. A lot of this will look very familiar once you read week 3. You'll kind of get a feel for this entire early humans period. Remember, you also have your lesson 2 study guide. If you get a message from me, I'm about to message everyone in like 5 minutes. So if you get a message from me, make sure you do your study guide. And bring a second device for Kahoot tomorrow. And you have your week 3 and your time for kids to work on as well in your island project. Questions? If you don't have any questions, thank you so much. Great job. I appreciate your time. Good job. And you may go off and get started on things. Okay. And definitely check and see if you have any messages from me. Okay. Bye. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. And I'll see you tomorrow.